What's up, everybody? Good morning and happy Tuesday, June 4th. DK Show up on the air on your radio dials of 105.1 FM and 790 AM. Also available online at sportstalk1051.com. Stream it up over there. You got your apps, you got your smart devices like your smart speakers over there. Download the Sports Talk app and take it on the go. Video stream also up and rolling. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. And it will be on Instagram here in just a couple of minutes. But big thanks for making us a part of your start on this Tuesday morning. What do we got on our good old game plan for us this morning? Brewers falling in game one to the Philadelphia Phillies last night, 3-1. The only offense coming from former Mr. Philadelphia Philly himself, Rhys Hoskins, with a solo shot, getting quite the ovation too in his return to Philadelphia. Wiley, I mean, definitely a Philly favorite, and we knew that when he first signed up with the crew. But he was the only one to provide really any offense. Brewers at one point early on in the game, base was loaded, nobody out against Wheeler, and no runs. That's unacceptable. You can't have that happen. Let him off the hook a little bit there. So Wheeler picking up the win to get his 7th win of the season to improve to 7-3 for Philly. Brewers employing the good old opener, initial outgetter, whatever the heck they're calling it these days. There with Koenig going 1 inning, and then Wilson coming in after that, pitching 5 2/3, giving up 3 earned runs on 6 hits there. But Brewers overall just five total hits, 5 team hits. Terang, Hoskins with that solo shot, Bowers, and then Blake Perkins getting a couple hits over there too. So Crew will try again tonight. Going to be another opener situation. Sounds like Koenig's going to get the opening inning, opening couple pitches, whatever the heck it's going to be. But the Crew is going to going up against Sanchez from the Philadelphia Phillies, another solid starting pitcher, left-handed pitcher who's 3-3 with a 2.83 ERA so far this year. So we're going to talk some Brewers, but also Brewers, more injuries starting to pile up now when it comes to the pitching staff for the Brewers. And it's one of their youngsters, one of the bright spots. Robert Gasser is now getting evaluated, getting a second opinion. He's got some tightness, soreness apparently in his elbow. Murphy said we're going to take a look, making sure he's 100%. When he was asked if Gasser's issue was a concern, Murphy said everything is concerning. So there you got it. I mean, again, whenever you hear elbow, soreness, tightness, anything when it comes to a pitcher, and you start to hear elbow issues, how do you not get a little concerned? So just add it to the list now of another pitcher dealing with some injuries here. So with that being said, and I know it's probably nothing's going to happen at any point in time here soon, we're going to take a look at some potential maybe pitching targets here for the Crew because, I mean, at this point in time, if the Brewers by the pitching deadline don't make any sort of move to acquire a starting pitcher or maybe even a couple of them, I mean, what are we doing here at this point in time? But, I mean, you got DL Hall, who, he's still struggling to come back from a knee sprain, re-aggravated that, and he was kind of inconsistent to begin the year anyway. So, I mean, Joe Ross is on the IL. His low back strains a TBD. Man, running out of arms at this point in time. So we're going to take a look at maybe some potential targets out there, strictly from a starting pitching standpoint here for the Crew that maybe the Brewers could potentially target. And here's my thing too. I know we're early for the trade deadline, and I know he can still make moves and such, but with the trading deadline, still was it July 30th? Yeah, July 30th, I believe it is off the top of my yeah, July 30th. So we got a little more than a month and a half here. But maybe if I'm the Brewers, I mean, instead of maybe getting into a bidding war the closer you get to trading deadline, because we know buyers, teams are always going to be looking for pitchers and starting pitchers. Maybe better now to pounce on somebody out there, or maybe there's just some teams out there too who aren't willing to give up some arms. But I don't know. We're going to take a look at. I got a few names that I was looking at a little bit earlier this morning to maybe potentially kind of look at here for the Birds. Realistic options too. I mean, they ain't gonna. I mean, I guess never say never, but I would kind of be surprised if they would go out there and get an ace by the deadline and such. But so we'll talk some baseball, talk some Brewers, and also preview Game 2 coming up 2 nights against the Philadelphia Phillies. Also on the docket, I want to throw this question out there because um I saw this kind of being floated out there on the social media networks, X/Twitter and such. But with the signing of Justin Jefferson by the Minnesota Vikings and seeing the wide receiver market just I mean, absolutely explode. I mean, money wise, it's good to be a really good wide receiver right now. It's really, really good. So and then I saw this nugget too, like the Cowboys situation could get pretty dicey coming up here because based off of some of the numbers we've seen with quarterbacks and wide receivers here, there's a chance like if the Cowboys decide to hold on to both Dak and CeeDee Lamb, there's a there's a really good chance that their salary cap, 35% of that salary cap could be tied to just two players, a quarterback and a wide receiver. That's a lot of moolah tied to a couple of positions here. So I saw this theory kind of being floated out there. And I don't know if this is going to be something that's going to happen, but I'm kind of curious to get your reactions here. And I think I might make this poll question a little bit later on. But would you rather see for your favorite team? So Packers fans, okay? Would you rather maybe see your team go and employ a quote unquote money ball type of approach when it comes to your wide receivers? What I mean by that is like, hey, maybe every couple years you're drafting a couple of wide receivers, and when that wide receiver's contract comes up, maybe you're moving on, so you don't spend as much money as maybe like the Vikings are now with Justin Jefferson or all that, and you're kind of just refueling the tank with cheaper. Most of the times, I shouldn't say most of the time because I mean you can go out there and get some veterans, but kind of refueling the tank that way and not spending a whole lot of money on there. Kind of similar to what some teams are doing with the running back position. Maybe devalue. We use the phrase devaluing the position at running back. So you see a lot of teams where they ain't going to spend a lot on running backs. They're just going to go in the draft maybe a couple of years, get a new one over there, and maybe sign in a veteran for a year. Been seeing some Packers fans and some fans in general kind of throwing out that scenario. Now, I also think that's a lot easier said than done, right? I mean, because if you got a Justin Jefferson on your team, do you really want to say, no, we're going to move on? I mean, that's also kind of tough to say because there's positives and negatives to it. Obviously, the huge positive would be you're saving a lot of money and you're not strapping, cap money to one player, one position. Obviously, the other, I mean, the other, positives of keeping a big time money spending free or wide receiver is you pretty much know what you got with him. It's a given. Like you got a playmaker over there, you got a stud over there. I think it's like a lot of things when you nail on a pick and he ends up being a superstar. Yes, you're gonna have to pay for him. You're gonna have to pay to keep him around, but that also puts a lot of pressure on your front office to make sure that they can surround that player with a lot of talent, but also cheaper talent, younger talent, talent that's ready to contribute right away, rookies, right? And also on your coaching staff to make sure you're putting those other players in a position to succeed and better help your squad. But how would you approach it now that with this wide receiving market just really exploding? And it's interesting to kind of follow along a little bit here too, because of the position that the Packers are currently in with their wide receiving group. I mean, you look at the entire roster of their wide receiving group, you got Romeo and Christian at the top entering their third years, Jaden Reed and Dontavian Wicks entering their second, and then you've got, their 2 tight ends just entering their second years. They're all on rookie contracts, but they're gonna have to potentially make some decisions after this year. The Packers, they can't. I know we kind of threw out a scenario of could they sign Watson at the end of this year? They can't extend Watson or Dobbs until after this season to become extension eligible at that point. But man, that's put it in this perspective. This was I saw some of these numbers. So Justin Jefferson gets $35 million per year. The entire Packers receiving core that's got 11 players on there scheduled to earn 25.2 total over a combined 23 years under contract. That's from Ken Ingalls, who does the Packers cap on Twitter over there. Yeah, yeah, that's it. Bargains over there. So how would you do it? How would you do it? We're gonna hit that up and kind of get your thoughts and your takes on that too. It is an ASAP used auto parts grind my gears Tuesday. I want to hear some good grinding your gears. All right, keep them clean, keep them appropriate, so that I can relay them on the air. If you want to get it off your chest, hit us up with a text on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912, or hit it up on the video stream on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. So we got that. So we're going to be catching up with the Eau Claire Express shortly after 8 o'clock for our Eau Claire Express updates. The Express falling last night to Thunder Bay 2-1. It's a big day, though, too. Busy day for prep baseball action. Some teams potentially playing a couple games over there, but we pay attention to a lot of them. We got, Eau Claire North in action. They're going to be in action in Marshfield later on this this morning? Yeah, 10 a.m. in Marshfield. That after that, it's going to be River Falls taking on Hudson. That's some Division 1 action over there. Division 2, shout out Medford. They're going to be taking on Baldwin Woodville. Altoona is going to, or excuse me, Medford's going to be at Baldwin Woodville taking on Merrill, and then Altoona will be taking on La Crosse Logan in Baldwin Woodville, and we could potentially see Medford versus Altoona later on there. So we've got in Division 3. I'm really curious to see how this Division 3 bracket shapes out. St. Croix Falls, 1 seed going up against number 2 seed Cumberland. Then at the bottom there, you got Elk Mound, 1 seed taking on 2-seeded Mondovi. That should be a really fun one. Those games going to be in Cumberland, it looks like. And then in Division 4 action, you got Solon Springs as a 1 seed Rib Lake, also a 1 seed taking on Edgar and Bruce over there. Then you got Oliva Strum, 5 seed, going to be taking on 2-seeded Pittsville. That's going to be at Blair Taylor. So a lot of prep baseball action. Prep golf is going to be continuing. Day 2, Memorial team 5th right now. So lots to be paying attention to on the prep side over there as well. So, all right, let's get things rolling here this morning, though. We're going to lead things off. I want to talk a little baseball. We'll recap the game from last night, look ahead to game two tonight. But I want to kind of take a look at maybe, I know it's a little early here. I know it's a skosh early to be talking about trade targets. Maybe not. I mean, you can make a trade anytime, but it really, the hot really picks up when we get into July, and it'll really probably pick up after the All Star break and such, since the trade deadline is the end of July. But with the Brewers right now in the position that they're in, they may be forced to have to try to make some moves at this point in time. So, with that, we're going to try to take a look at maybe some potential targets, knowing that they're probably not going to do another CC Sabathia type of move, meaning they're probably not going to go out there and get a big time ace for just half the season here. But there's some potential targets that that makes sense when you, I mean, we all know the Brewers, we know kind of how they operate and such, and there's a couple of targets out there that potentially, if it were me, that maybe the Brewers would take a look at. So let's do that. First up, though, we'll take a quick break here and then get things rolling here this morning. Talking a little baseball. Join in on the convo, all right? Hit me up with some text, 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back after these few words. Let's begin with the leadoff talking some more baseball as we get this show rolling here. Brew Crew last night falling to the Philadelphia Phillies 3-1. Brewers had a chance early on in the game, bases loaded, nobody out, and not able to manufacture any runs whatsoever with that situation. The only run coming from former Philadelphia Philly himself, Reese Hoskins, with a solo shot later on in the game in the top of the seventh. There, that was it. That was the only offense for the Brewers as they end up losing again 3-1. Koenig getting the initial start, the opener, pitching an inning, and then Wilson coming in, pitching 5 2/3, giving up 6 hits, 3 earned runs, and then Milner finishing off pitching 1 1/3. I'll be honest with you, if you'd have told me that you held the Philadelphia Phillies to just 3 runs, and yeah, if you held and you were doing the opener situation there, I would have taken that almost any day of the week. You're doing a little bit of opener. You got Wilson thrown in. That's not a knock on Wilson. I'm not trying to, put a knock on him or anything like that. But it's like, and then you hold the Philadelphia Phillies to 3. I'd say you're putting yourself in a position to win that ball game. Now I know Zach Wheeler's the other dude on the mound there, and it's going to be tough. But I mean, when you get a chance, when you get an opportunity to put up some runs, and when you're in a situation where it's bases loaded and nobody out, you've got to be able to manufacture some runs on there. That's missed opportunities. And the Brewers missed a big one potentially there. So they'll try again tonight, though, but it's going to be, again, another tough matchup here with Sanchez in the mound. Sounds like Koenig's going to be the guy again, getting the opener going in the first inning, or maybe first couple outs and such. And I believe it's going to be Colin Ray after that. So Brewers electing to go with the opener approach again for the game tonight. And when we look at Sanchez, who's on the mound for the Phillies, not a ton of experience with this Brewers lineup going up against him. It looks like he got a game's worth with some of these guys. Adames is, just 3 at bats. Contreras is just 3 at bats. Sanchez 3. Yelich 4. So you can't really take away anything. But when you look at Sanchez, this left-handed pitcher, he's 3-3 so far this year, and 11 games started with a 2.83 ERA. He's coming off of a win against the Giants, where he went 6 innings, giving up 4 hits and no earned runs, striking out 7. But his 2 previous games there too: Colorado, no decision, 5 1/3, 1 earned run, struck out a couple. Washington, no decision, went 7 innings, 2 earned runs, struck out 8. In the let me kind of break it down here a little bit more. In the month of May, he had a fantastic month of May, going 2-0 with a 2.03 ERA. So another test for this Brewers offense, and really, if this is a big game for them, because I'm not saying tomorrow's going to be an automatic loss. I would never say that, but I mean, you're going up against Nola, Aaron Nola tomorrow, which is going to be an incredibly hard test for this offense. Nola, who's 7-2 with a 3.03 ERA. So got to take advantage. If you're in a situation, again, where you have a chance to manufacture some runs and you got bases loaded and you got nobody out and coming away with 0, that's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. But a couple of news nuggets before the game yesterday. Joey Ortiz, for one, forgot to mention this, named NL Rookie of the Month for the month of May. So Joey Ortiz is your Rookie of the Month. When you look at his numbers, he ranked 2nd among National League players, behind some dude named Bryce Harper with a 978 OPS, slashing 307, 391, 587 with 4 homers. Ortiz saying it's definitely not something I expected. I was just trying to do my best, do my job out there, worrying about helping the team win. That's really honestly what matters. The accolades are cool, but I just want to do what I can to put the team in a good position. So Ortiz, I mean, dude looking like he's going to be a pretty darn good ball player for the Crew here. So, but before that, or I should say, another news before the game that is a pretty big downer here. Robert Gasser is getting his elbow evaluated. Um, Pat Murphy saying he's got some tightness, some soreness in his left elbow, saying they're going to take a look, making sure he's 100%. Asked if it was a concern, Murphy said that everything is a concern. Um, Anytime I hear a pitcher and it's elbow, I start to immediately think the worst. It's not always the case. I understand that, but it's hard not to when you think of a pitcher and they're throwing elbow and there's some issues going on there. There's some tightness. There's some soreness involved. You get really nervous. You get very, very nervous. So, um, now earlier he was on the injured list. Opened up the minor league season on the injured list after dealing with some bone spurs in his elbow during spring training. So, could it maybe potentially be something related to that? That that would be, I think, a better case scenario than what maybe a lot of us are currently thinking right now, and that would be Tommy John. Hopefully, that's not what's going on here, but maybe we'll find out a little bit more today when Pat Murphy and such talks to the media before the game starts. So, but with that, with Robert Gasser, I mean, I would expect him to, again, maybe depending on what we're going here, but I'm thinking let's just for this exercise, I'm thinking he's going to miss some time, and hopefully it's not a lot. But when you look at the starters that the Brewers opened up this year with, DL Hall, injured list. Ross, injured list. Gasser, he might be on the injured list now. Wade Miley, done for the season. You got Colin Ray and Freddie Peralta as your still got original opening start of the season, members of the starting rotation there. And they've had to go through some openers. They've had to convert Wilson into a starter and such, and he's done an admirable job. But there's no doubt about it. This team could probably use an influx of arms, starting arms, guys that could go out there and eat up some innings. And with the trade deadline coming up on July 30th, we've got some time for that. But how much longer can the Brewers actually kind of wait around and before they potentially make some moves, potentially acquire another starting pitcher? Because we all know when it comes to the trade deadline, teams are always looking for pitchers. They're always looking for pitching help. And by the time when you get to that deadline, you may get a little desperate. Prices may go up a little bit more too. But it's still kind of early. I know I asked this yesterday. When can we stop saying it's early in Major League Baseball? Like, when can we stop saying? Is it the Memorial Day benchmark? We're in the beginning of June now. I think we could stop saying that it's early. But maybe for some, in this case, for some teams, maybe it's just a skosh too early where they want to decide whether they're going to be sellers by the trade deadline. Unless you're like the White Sox, which you've got no chance at, making a comeback. But I don't know, maybe like a team like the Mets, are they still maybe on the fence, even though they probably should say, yeah, we're not doing anything this year. We're 10 games below 500 at this point, and heck, look at our division right now. I mean, we're 16 and a half back from Philadelphia alone there. So, but I'm sure some teams are probably going to say they're not ready to, quote unquote, sell at this point. But there's some, like the White Sox, who, yeah, we all know that they're going to be sellers. And what does it matter if they trade their guy now as opposed to the deadline? Unless they're thinking, hey, going to hold on to this guy, going to hold on to this player because desperate times call for desperate measures. And we know the longer we hold on to them, the more anxious teams are going to be and the more that they're probably going to spend. But I also think we know that the Brewers are not going to go out there and probably get, the top available pitcher on the market, whoever that may be. They're not going to go out there and get a big time ace. That's not going to happen. CC Sabathia is now walking through that door. I don't think so, at least. But I think there's a few pitchers from when I was kind of looking this up earlier this morning that just kind of fit or would be decent targets or maybe ideal targets for for the Brewers. And I'm going to start off by, maybe Matt Arnold giving a call to his former boss for his former coworker David Stearns over there at the Mets and saying, "All right, David, what's it going to take, or what's the asking price for a couple of your starters right now?" And the two guys that I'm kind of paying attention to here would be Luis Severino, who signed a 1-year, $13 million deal in the offseason. So it's going to be a little prorated. He's going to be a free agent next year, but be a little bit prorated there. So far this year, he is 3-2 with a 3.52 ERA. He has started in 11 games this year. Would that potentially be at 30 years old? I think that potentially could be an option. I mean, obviously, David Stearns knows the Brewers farm system pretty darn well. Some of the minor league systems over there. Could the Brewers potentially use one of their plethora of outfielders that David Stearns had a hand in acquiring to maybe make some of these moves? Potentially. But Severino could potentially be an option. I mean, he might as well. If I'm looking at it, he doesn't have a great record this year. He's 1-5 with a 5.17 ERA. But you might as well knock off your bingo card here and join up with the Brewers. Jose Quintana. I mean, he's played for every other team, I think, for the Central. The former Brewer killer started opening day against the Brewers. Numbers-wise, do they look great? No. But you know what? Guy pitches and he goes out there and he eats innings. And really, when you look at his last few games here, 3 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 3 earned runs, 2 earned runs. I mean, not awful. And I think you look at the team surrounding him too. But could he be a guy that maybe gets you some innings? Again, these aren't going to be sexy names. And I don't think that's what the Brewers are going to do. They're not going to go out there and get some big time aces out there. That's not what's going to happen, I don't feel like. Whether I agree with it or not. I mean, I'm looking at players here that potentially could fit a Brewers mold where they bring in and all right, finish off the year with this guy. Hopefully he can eat some innings, and hopefully he's a guy we can rely upon and that stays healthy for the most part. Cross your fingers there. But I wouldn't be surprised if Matt Arnold's maybe called his former buddy, his former boss, and said, "All right, our farm system, our minor league systems here. What would it take to maybe take a couple of your starters off your hands, knowing that, hey, they only signed 1-year deals, short-term deals, prorated over there. What's it going to take?" The one that may cost a little bit more here might be a guy that they just faced the other night. Eric Fedde from the Chicago White Sox, a guy that is widely expected that he could be a target. Now, I feel like he could maybe be a guy that's going to fetch the most amount of return capital, if you will, from other teams. If other teams are interested in acquiring him, he signed a 2-year, $15 million deal. So he is actually under contract for next year, but it's for $7.5 million. And I think if I'm the Brewers, I'm okay with that. You get prorated for the rest of his salary for this year. Let's say in half of 7.5, doable. And then next year for 7.5 million, I'd take that. I mean, I don't think that's a deterrent at all. But he has started 12 games. He's appeared in 12 games. He has started 12 games. His most recent one is actually, his most recent loss here, or outing, excuse me, was against the Brewers in that 12-5 game. But really, when you look at his numbers overall, and he didn't get charged with that loss. But overall, 4-1 with a 3.12 ERA. I think that could be an option. But I also feel like maybe one of the more expensive options in terms of what teams are willing to give up, because you look at the contract, very doable contract. You got him under control for next year. I think, compared to the Quintanas and the Severinos, Fetty might cost a little bit more. A little bit more. But it's an option. It's an option. Another guy that could potentially be an option here for the Crew. Let's go to Miami, because it feels like, hey, you want to talk about teams that are selling? Marlins got to be a team that always sells, right? Right. So how about Jesus Luzardo? Now, he's got a couple more years of arbitration. So he's under arbitration for 2025, arbitration for 2026. You'd have control of him for the next couple of seasons. And so far this year, 2-4 with a 4.18 ERA. But, you look at his last outings here. He went up against the Brewers. Brewers just faced him back on the 22nd. So they got to see him, and he picked up a win, and that's when he went 8 innings, 3 hits, 0 earned runs. And you look at his games in the month of May, 3 earned runs in his latest game against the Padres, 0, 0, 2 against Philly. Again, this might be a guy because he's younger and because he has control. He has arbitration control for the next couple of years. Probably going to be a little bit more than those veterans from the Mets that we just chatted about. He's 26 years old, but you would be able to have him for a couple of years. Would it be worth it maybe sending a couple more prospects over there? Why not? And then another name I'll throw into this discussion here is the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's here, Paul Blackburn. Paul Blackburn. He is a guy that's got another year of arbitration, so you would have control over him. He is 30 years old, so he'll be 31 next year. But so far this year, he is 3-2 with a 4.11 ERA in 4 games played, started 4 of those games here too. He is dealing with an injury right now in a walking boot, was placed on a 15-day IL a few days ago. So, I mean, that's something you have to kind of, look at here and figure out. But, when you look at what he has done so far this year, and you have the control over him too, could it be a possibility? Yeah, I think that's a potential. Again, a lot's going to depend on his injury, but so far this year, he has, pitched 46 innings. Started off the season on the 31st against Cleveland, going 7 innings, just giving up 3 hits and no earned runs. So, I mean, Paul Blackburn could potentially be an option here for the A's. Like I said, 3-2 with a 4.11 ERA. He has pitched so far in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. I think I said 4 earlier, but it's 8 games he has pitched so far this year. So those are just a few names. There's plenty more out there. But Luis Severino and Jose Quintana, veterans who the Mets, signed for those 1-year double-digit million-dollar deals this past offseason, kind of filling in the gaps. Could that be an option where the Mets, I think, are going to be sellers? Could they get something in return for expiring contracts of these veterans? Absolutely, they probably could. Would those be options for the Brewers? Maybe. Are they sexy names? No, they're not the sexiest names out there, but they're guys that have starting experience and eat innings, which right now, the Brewers need a couple of those. They need a few of those guys. And whether it's a positive or a negative, at least David Stearns knows about some of the prospects in the Brewer system. So maybe there's a double-A guy or a single-A guy that he really likes and he's willing, to send one of these veterans over for that guy. Fetty, Jesus could be the guys that maybe will be a little bit more expensive for the Brewers to try to acquire. Might have to include a little bit more top talent there. And then Paul Blackburn on there too, who you do have control for 1 more year, arbitration eligible as well for next year. Brewers, this is a decision that they're gonna have to start to make here, and I'm sure something that we are going to talk about for a while. They continue to win games. They continue to have a big lead in the division. They continue their offense continues, to be top five, just outside top five in a lot of categories and kind of leading the way. How much do you go for? How much do you push in the chips? It feels weird because the last few years we've had that discussion, but the Brewers had a good starting pitching core, Corbin, Brandon, Freddie. When Wade was healthy, it was like, okay, do they go in there and try to get a bat? This year it's a little bit different where maybe we trust the offense just a little bit more, but how much do they go in for a starting pitcher, for some pitching help this year? They need it. They just need guys to stay healthy. And so that's going to be something that they're going to have to figure out. They're going to have to start talking about and like, all right, how much do we want to go for this? Do we trade from a position of great depth? Maybe one of their outfielders, whether it's a Joey Weimer, or Gary Mitchell or whoever. Do they go from a little bit of depth with Contreras and how well he's playing? They got Nottingham, maybe some catching minor league. Do they move on from some of those guys to bring in some pitchers? Be interesting to kind of follow. All right, let's take a quick break here, and then we'll finish up the first hour. Coming up next hour, I want to talk a little green gold. We threw out that philosophy with paying wide receivers or not anymore. What would you do? We'll explain that again coming up a little bit later on. But first, we got to take a quick break, and we'll be back to finish up the first hour after these quick words. Looking to get some new floor in your space, new carpet, new luxury tile, excuse me, luxury vinyl planks. Look no further than our good friends from Carpet City Flooring Center right here in Eau Claire. Best selection, best prices, because you know what? If you happen to find a better deal elsewhere, which you probably won't, you won't, but they will match or beat the competition over there. But they're just an awesome team, awesome people to work with. We've used them for our bedrooms, for the man cave, for the stairs and such. So whether you're remodeling or maybe you're building a brand new home and you're just looking for some new flooring, or you want to update some of that shower tile, I'd love to, both in the man cave and the main bathroom in our house. Look no further than our good friends from Carpet City Flooring Center. They'll help you find not only what looks great in your home, they'll help you figure out the style, the colors, and all that. Aaron does a fantastic job with that. And then they'll work with you to find what works best within your budget, whether it's Ben or whoever you work with over there, Jason. The entire team is just absolutely fantastic with Carpet City Flooring Center. So give them a visit for all of your flooring needs. If you're doing any remodeling or updating in your space. Again, whether it's your own home or maybe it's your office, your place of work, all that good stuff. Hey, coming up next hour, I want to talk a little green and gold. So there's been a narrative, there's been a talking point that's been kind of going across the social media world about with these wide receivers getting big time contracts right now. Could you see a scenario, or would you rather see your team, regardless of who that team is, kind of play a little bit of a money ball approach when it comes to wide receivers, maybe kind of how teams have done it with the running back position, where every few years you're kind of got a new crop in, or how do you play that? Because you're like the Cowboys right now. You're the Cowboys who, if they want to keep Dak and CD Lamb, I was looking at some numbers, and there's some speculation out there that you're talking about 35% of the cap could be, you know, hooked to just two players, wide receiver and a quarterback. Now, I think different circumstances, pop up. If you got, okay, say you're a team and you've got a younger quarterback or a quarterback that's on a rookie deal, you can do what the Vikings did. That makes complete sense. And his contract lines up perfectly with JJ McCarthy's rookie contract too. So that one works, right? That one works. But you see these other teams, I mean, look like Kansas City, they get Patrick Mahomes and they got Travis Kelce. But it feels like every couple of years they've got a new wide receiver group. And then, you had Tyreek Hill over there, but then they trade him. And now you got Miami, who's just boatloaded with wide receivers and spending so much on wide receivers and such. So how would you do that? We're going to hit that up coming up next hour. Get your opinions on that. First off, though, we'll finish up with Morgan. Good morning, Morgs.
Hey, how's it going, Captain?
Good. How are you?
Not too bad. When was the last time you were in Durand?
Oh, God, I don't even know.
Okay, so they have some nice upgraded ball fields there.
Okay.
I didn't know that. This is the first time we were there for games last night. So I know a lot of people are doing Bleacher Butt right now and watching games around the area. Tarrant Fields, apparently, kind of if you are at the Bauer Complex where the track is in Durand, it's down the hill from that. And I hadn't been there before. And wow, are those some nice fields. So
yeah, it's been a hot minute.
Made me think about your glory days, softball, Medford, taking it back.
Medford baseball's in action today.
What you can remember from those as I look at the 8 feet tall beer trophy here to my right in the studio. Did you guys have a favorite local? I mean, talking about home field advantage aside, so not home because home's home field. Did you have a favorite field to play on back in the day, either in school or for rec league?
Favorite field. I've had this topic before, but I don't know which ones I would pick. I always like playing in oh gosh, where is it? New Richmond.
Yeah.
I think it was New Richmond Pea Soup days. I always liked that field.
What did you like about that one?
It was just like it had, I think if this is the right one, anybody listening maybe help. It's got like the concrete, kind of have to go down.
Yep.
Had like the concrete steps, but like at night, then you had the trees in the background. It just looked kind of cool.
Oh, so like ambiance, like Field of Dreams type stuff is why you like it.
Yep.
Yeah, because when we go, like Spring Valley's got obviously you're down in the valleys, you can kind of see. When we do tournaments in Elma, the bluffs are really pretty. They have the bluffs there, which is always good.
Yeah.
What fields do you like watching at? Do you have, as Hutsy makes the rounds here, any local fields that you like being at to play?
I mean, Jeffers, that's where he plays all of his games right now. So, I mean, that's a good complex over there.
Yeah.
No doubt. So, Yeah, we haven't gotten to the where we're traveling at different fields yet.
Okay.
Not to that point.
But around the area, do you know of any ones that people like at, or do you remember any ones from your days or any schools in general that you liked
I
going to?
remember going to the playing on the old Whittlesea playground or Whittlesea ball fields. I know they got the new ones. This is really cool.
Uh-huh.
You've never been to Whittlesea. This has been like
No.
this for a while. They got the upper field,
Okay.
and literally the lower field
Yep.
is like straight down.
Like
You have to
you
like
look
roll
down?
down the field. Yeah.
Ha!
You're parking. You could be parked in a parking lot,
Yeah.
stay in your car, and you're just looking down and
To
watching.
like grapple down it to
Oh
get to the
yeah,
lower
yeah.
field?
You got to roll down as a kid. It was fun.
So take me into rivalry. See, we're familiar with, I do like kind of the northern, we got Boyceville, Glenwood, Colfax, Elk Mound, New Richmond, Baldwin. Take us to your area in Medford. Who was your rival? Like, what's the big rivalry in Red?
Mine
in
was
Medford?
different from everybody else's.
Personally, or
Personally,
okay, give us your personal and your big school rival.
my personal one was Merrill, who baseball is playing today. Actually,
Uh-oh.
mostly though it was like, I mean, good old lumberjack conference. It was like Tomahawk, it was Ashland, it was Lakeland. It
Okay.
depended on the sport,
All right.
really.
So of those schools, did you have a most dreaded game that you hated traveling to?
Ashland.
Oh.
Second hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning. What up, everybody? Appreciate you tuning in wherever, however you're tuning in. Coming up, we're going to talk a little green and gold, switch gears here a little bit, but we'll get back to some more Brewers talk too. First hour, we kind of highlighted some pitching players, some players that maybe the Brewers could target via the trade deadline. I know the trade deadline is July 30th. But given the injury situation with the Brewers right now, maybe they would be smart to make some moves a little bit quicker because they need some help. Robert Gasser now potentially going to be dealing with he's dealing with an elbow issue right now, but hopefully it's nothing too serious and he won't be out long. But kind of have to wonder what at some point Brewers might have to be forced because they're running out of arms starting pitchers to make some moves at this point in time. So we'll get back to that though. Also, it is a ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. ASAP Used Auto Parts. If you're looking to get your oil changed or maybe get some new tires or save some money on some high quality used auto parts, maybe your one of your hobbies is fixing up cars or got a hobby car, anything like that. Look no further than our good friends at ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. So great customer service over there for oil changes, tires. Got my latest set of tires over there. Best deals in the Chippewa Valley. Quick over there too. Just easy to work with. So if you need some new tires or get that oil change, especially with summer here, and maybe you're hitting the road a lot for some vacation or maybe even some long trips for some ball tournaments and such, look no further than ASAP Used Auto Parts in Eau Claire. I want to talk a little green and gold, a little Packers to begin this hour. So I want to talk some Packers. And yesterday, we know the news, the big news in the NFL world was the fact that the Vikings locked up Justin Jefferson, making him the highest paid non-quarterback in the entire league. And I think he's deserved it. Whether you think he's the best wide receiver or not, I mean, it's like any position in the NFL. Maybe Jamar Chase breaks it. Maybe Jamar Chase is going to be higher in a certain area, whether it's guaranteed or the per year, whatever the case may be. Eventually, there's going to be another person that leapfrogs Justin Jefferson. Okay, that's going to happen. And I think from a Viking standpoint, they can do this type of deal. I know there was some talk about whether they're going to trade him and instead of pay him and that, but you draft JJ McCarthy in the first round, which is key because you have that 5th-year option over there too. You don't necessarily have to start JJ McCarthy right now. They got Sam Darnold over there, and we'll see how that all plays out. But it lines up where 4-year deal for Justin Jefferson. It lines up with JJ McCarthy's rookie deal. Okay, so that makes sense. You can do that. But there's certain teams right now, Dallas potentially being one of them, if they decide to keep on Dak Prescott and they give him a new deal, and then you sign up CeeDee Lamb to a massive deal, that's a ton of money. Ton of money wrapped up into 2 players for your salary cap. Bengals could be in the same situation with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, and then they got T. Higgins over there too. They could be in a similar. Green Bay's been in a similar situation where they were paying a quarterback and they were paying a lot for their receiver. So teams are in that situation. Look at the Dolphins, for crying out loud. They got a lot of money invested in wide receivers. Heck, even Philly. They gave Jalen Hurts a big time deal, and they got AJ Brown and Devontae Smith under big time contracts. But a narrative that I started to see a little bit yesterday on social media, and it's related to the Packers, is could we see some teams kind of employ, if you will, a quote unquote money ball type of situation when it comes to wide receivers, meaning that maybe they're not gonna give, I mean, because the wide receiver market has absolutely exploded this offseason. Exploded. Could we see some teams maybe kind of similar to how some teams do it with running backs, where they kind of shuffle in new guys every couple of years, every few years, and then maybe they'll bring in a veteran for a year or two under a cheaper deal? Could we see some teams start to do that with the wide receiver group? And when you look at Green Bay, I mean, you got Christian Watson and Romeo Dobbs as your veterans who are entering their third years. They're under rookie deals. Jane Reed's on his rookie deal. Dontavian Wicks is on his rookie deal. You want to throw in the tight ends? Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft entering their second years. They're all under rookie deals. Chiefs are a little bit similar to that too. You know, yes, they got Travis Kelce, highest paid tight end, but wide receivers, it seems like every couple of years they've kind of shuffled in guys. Yes, they signed MVS to originally a 3-year, $33 million deal, $11 million per. But it seems like they got new guys stepping up every year, or they'll go out and get a veteran. Now they brought in Hollywood Brown, right? Or they'll go draft a guy. And then, well, you got Patrick Mahomes at quarterback. That age-old phrase of the quarterback making the receivers helps when you got Travis Kelce. That takes a lot of pressure on that offense. So could we see a scenario where, going back to the question at hand, could we see a scenario where teams start to, I don't know if I want to say devalue wide receiver, because I don't think it's devalue wide receiver, but kind of play a little bit of money ball with their wide receivers? I guess if for me to answer that, depends. Every situation is going to be different, because let's say for Green Bay's instance, we'll just use Green Bay as an example here. If Christian Watson goes out and balls out this year, he stays healthy is the main thing, but he goes out, dude racks up 1,500 receiving yards, 15 touchdowns. I mean, just some insane numbers that, like, okay, that's number one numbers. Are they going to let him go? Probably not. Or teams, you know, okay, let's use the Vikings, for instance. Justin Jefferson setting the world on fire. Would they just let him go? Probably not. Would they trade him? Maybe, if they got a couple first round picks. I think every situation is going to be different. And I think with these numbers exploding, general managers and front office people have to be a little bit creative in how they build their teams. And they can't just shell out money and try to, quote unquote, kick the can down the field or down the road every single time. The Saints are notorious for doing that. It's going to catch up to them. They keep kicking it down. Other teams keep kicking it down. Or you got those teams that go all in, and then they're trying to fix their salary cap situation for a couple of years here. I think if I were a general manager, or for my team, my favorite team, you got to look at this situation a little bit differently in a case-by-case situation where, okay, you're paying a quarterback a ton of money, one of the highest paid quarterbacks. You might have to make some tough decisions when it comes to positions like a wide receiver or a running back. You know, right now, Green Bay's got the benefit of all their receivers and tight ends on rookie deals, and their quarterback's going to get a big deal. Enjoy it while it lasts. There might be, maybe they can get a couple guys as a bargain, re-sign a couple guys as a bargain. But I the whole question about, would you rather have your team play Moneyball? I don't think it's as easy as yes or no. You know what I mean? I don't think it's as easy as, yes, I want my team to do that. Because I think it depends on every situation. Minnesota, it makes complete sense to give Justin Jefferson a contract like that. One, the dude's a stud. The dude is an absolute stud. Two, you're going through a change at quarterback. Sam Darnold's probably going to be your initial star, but he isn't your long-term guy. It's going to be J.J. McCarthy, and he's going to be under a rookie deal. Those deals line up, they match up, just like how a rookie quarterback contract would line up, in other situations we've talked about. Other teams have tried doing that, right? They'll draft a quarterback, spend money elsewhere, try to take advantage of that rookie contract. That's what Minnesota's trying to do with it. Other teams may try, like Green Bay, okay? Jordan Love's going to have a big-time deal. You're taking advantage of rookie contracts at other positions. It's a case-by-case scenario. And that's where I would like, ideally, for my team's general manager or my teams to kind of look at this like, okay, you're going to have to make some tough decisions. It's not monopoly money. We can't sit there and just pay everybody. It's not like, we're the Dodgers or the Yankees and we can just shell out money and print money and keep everybody. Just make some smart football decisions, but you got to make the smart business decisions too. So to me, it's going to be interesting to watch in the next couple of years here after Love has that huge deal. If any of these wide receivers kind of really establish themselves as a number one, because if they really establish themselves as a number one, that means the payday goes up. Price tag's going to go up. If these guys kind of, it's an all by committee approach, they're still going to get paydays. They're still going to get decent contracts. Remember, MVS got $11 million per year, $33 million deal. And he was never a number one for Green Bay. Receivers are going to get paid if they show some glimpses, if they got the skill sets, if they're a big wide receiver with 4.3, 4.4 speed out there. They're going to get paid. Somebody's going to pay them. But it's going to be really curious to see, with this influx of talent here, because if you're going to pay quarterback and you're going to pay a wide receiver combo, you're going to have to take a hit elsewhere. And it seems like for a lot of years for Green Bay, maybe that hit was on defense. Defensive playmakers didn't draft well, because if you're going to pay a lot of money to keep some of your guys around, you better draft well. And you better hope those rookies can contribute right away. And that's a credit to Kansas City. Kansas City has done it magically. They've almost done it perfectly. The last couple of years, back-to-back champions. They've paid a ton of money to their quarterback. They paid their tight end. They were able to give a guy like MVS. I'm not trying to pick on MVS, but they gave Marquez Valdes-Scantling a $33 million deal. But you know what? They took a hit on defense. They maybe weren't able to spend a whole lot. Yes, they did on Chandler Jones this year, but talk about a couple of years ago. That defense, they drafted a lot of rookies, and a lot of second-year guys played and started on that defense, and they were balling, and they still won a championship. They've won 2 in a row now because they've had rookies and young dudes stepping up, answering the call. So if you're a team that's going to invest, Dallas, potentially, or Cincinnati, in a lot of money in your quarterback wide receiver combo, you better hope that you hit on some other picks. You better hope that your young guys, your rookies, are out there making plays, able to play day one. Can't bring them along, can't store them on the depth chart and just play a few snaps here or there. That ain't going to work. Because if you're paying that quarterback and that wide receiver a lot of money right now, the expectation is to win right now. So it puts a lot of pressure on your front office, your scouting staff to get those picks right, but also the coaching staff to get those players ready to go. Kansas City is the model right now. Kansas City is the perfect model that you can pay a quarterback. You can pay a quarterback a big contract and still win a championship because they're winning in other areas. They're winning in the draft. They're winning in their development. They're winning in their coaching. That's what separates. I mean, if I got a quarterback and I'm paying a quarterback a ton of money, I want that quarterback to be able to fill the gaps in other areas, to make up for some deficiencies, whether that's from the wide receiver group or running back. Remember, like Kansas City, seems every couple of years that they just kind of go through different running backs, whether it's Clyde Edwards-Helaire, now it's Isaiah Pacheco. They're every couple of years they're funneling in a new running back. But they got Patrick Mahomes kind of filling in some of that gap, some of that space over there too. That's the luxury of having a franchise quarterback like Mahomes. So whether I want my team to play the money ball situation when it comes to, wide receivers, if you will, I think it's a case-by-case situation. And I think there are certain quarterbacks that can make wide receivers look really good. I think Tom Brady was another example. That system, that offensive system worked, and he worked it to perfection. Also had a really good tight end in Rob Gronkowski there for a while too. That helps. But I mean, for crying out loud, when Chris Hogan for 1 year has a great year, I mean, it seemed like Bill Belichick was just trying to throw in whatever receivers out there for Brady, and Brady was getting the ball to him. Yes, he had Edelman for a couple years over there too. But Brady's another example of like, we're going to give you different receivers. Work with it. Dink and dunk, king of the world. Don't matter. Dude's got 7 championships. All right, let's take a quick break here, and we'll talk some more green and gold. Then we'll get back to some more Brewers talk here as well. We got the Express coming in just past 8 o'clock, so we'll do our Express update. Off day today for the Express, which is probably a good thing because we're talking some rain tonight anyways here. But the Express coming back from Thunder Bay. They'll be at home tomorrow versus Rochester, then on the road against Rochester, then home at Carson Park for the next few days, including this weekend. Wilmer, Waterloo, and then they got a home and away against the Woodchucks of Wausau a week from today, starting a week from today. So, but we'll take a quick break. We'll talk some more green and gold and Nats coming up in just a few minutes. Seven 514-4501.
Economy Furniture, Chippewa Falls is something that you gotta see. The biggest selection for miles around, 2 jam-packed floors of quality. At Economy, you don't have to wait for a sale. It can be yours immediately. Everyday low prices on the best brand names, and we finance it interest-free. Furnishing the Chippewa Valley since 1950. Economy Furniture's for me.
If you're looking for a step up and a great career, then apply at American Materials. They're looking for ready mixed concrete drivers. You're home every night, great compensation, and you're making a difference. Full-time seasonal positions are available right now. Hey, Curtis, what else should people know about American Materials?
I like working for American Materials because I'm home nightly. It's great pay. You work along with and build great relationships with customers. You must be 18 years old and be able to acquire a Class B CDL automatic for this position, as well as you'll be delivering concrete to residential and commercial sites with an updated and well-maintained mixer. Great benefits too, profit sharing and a great 401k plan.
Apply now for ready mixed concrete drivers at American Materials, earning up to $34 an hour with paid vacation and 401k matches, and newly added paid sick time and upgraded pay package and paid time off. AmericanMaterials.com/careers. Your job is different every day, making changes in our community and home every night and great benefits. AmericanMaterials.com/careers.
The latest sports news, scores, opinion, and commentary. If that's not enough, you should seek professional help. The Dan Kasper Show.
Looking for that perfect gift for your dad or for Father's Day this year? Well, maybe dad or grandpa or uncle or husband needs that new deer hunting rifle from Tilden Gun or new turkey shotgun, whatever the case may be. Go visit our friends at Tilden Gun. You can also check out their website, tildengun.com. The biggest selection you will find in the Chippewa Valley, all at the best prices, too. You can also check out their shop at 12427 90th Avenue in Chippewa Falls. Sean and Hunter there, they'll work with you to find what just you're looking for, exactly what you're looking for Dad this year for Father's Day. So make it a special Father's Day by getting that brand new or that new deer hunting rifle or turkey shotgun from our good friends at Tilden Gun. Chatting some more green and gold here this morning with Joe. And Joe, topic we were talking about with the Vikings signing Justin Jefferson to that massive contract. There's been some talk on the socials, on Twitter and the X and all that about wide receivers and paying for wide receivers, and should teams maybe kind of do a Moneyball approach. And I'm assuming they're kind of talking about Green Bay there with their rookie wide receivers there. To me, I think it's a case-by-case approach here. But if you were running a franchise, would you give massive contracts to both your quarterback and wide receiver, kind of like what maybe Dallas has to do and maybe the Bengals at this point?
Yeah, it's a tough call, and I agree with you that I think it's a case-by-case situation, because you look at Minnesota now, and they've got J.J. McCarthy on a rookie deal, and then so they go out and they give Jefferson the big wide receiver deal. And if you're Dallas, you're really in a situation where you're going to have probably around 33 to 36% of your salary cap eaten up by two players, wide receiver CeeDee Lamb and, of course, Dak Prescott. So, yeah, I don't think there's this is the right way, this is the wrong way. I truly think it is a case-by-case situation. And, again, Jordan Love is going to get that big deal pretty soon. The question for the Green Bay Packers, who is going to be that number one? Is there going to be a guy that separates himself from the pack? So, I just think that the NFL is cyclical, and, running backs were getting big deals several years ago, and now they're not getting the big long-term deals because of the shelf life of the running back. And now it comes in that wide receivers in today's NFL are getting bigger deals. But again, to say it's unequivocally this or that, I just think you can't say that. I think it's up to the player and the individual. I will say this, Captain, that looking back on it now, where Green Bay is today, where if Green Bay would have given Devontae Adams the big deal, where would this football team be today? Would they be significantly better? Would they have gone to the Super Bowl with a Devontae Adams? And so I really don't think so. And so it is one of those things that you have to look at case by case. And I think it'd be, look, would it be great if a Green Bay Packer receiver really separated himself and took off and was an all-pro and that type of thing? Absolutely. But I just don't think you can say that this is the blanket statement now for all wide receivers.
You know, one thing that makes me nervous about paying wide receivers big time money, and you know, with Justin Jefferson, I mean, probably the best receiver in the game, but he passes Nick Bosa as the highest paid non-quarterback in the league. What makes me nervous about paying wide receivers those big amount of money is that Nick Bosa, he's out there almost every single play on the defensive side, and he can affect the game by himself. Wide receiver, it almost depends on who's that quarterback and throwing him the ball too. Would it make you nervous paying a non-quarterback, paying a wide receiver that amount of money when you got a rookie quarterback potentially coming in, whether it's this year or next year?
Yeah, there's two ways to look at it, and I see exactly where you're going with this, and I agree. But there is two ways to look at it. That if you've got a Justin Jefferson, he can make J.J. McCarthy better quickly. And so if you've got that guy, now you're saying, okay, he's got a security blanket. He's got a guy that he knows will win one-on-one matchups, and he knows he can get the football too. And so it is that security blanket for a rookie quarterback if you've got that wide receiver to make a difference. And so, but you're absolutely right. I mean, it not only depends on the quarterback, it depends on the offense. It depends on how they're covering that wide receiver. And so there's a lot of variables there. And again, I think the NFL right now, I think there's no question that play action pass and the passing game is a big part of winning in the NFL. Explosiveness is a big part of winning in the NFL. And I just think right now, because of the market, and again, Justin Jefferson waited for the market to kind of settle in, and Packer fans just said it's exactly what Jordan Love is doing with that quarterback market. So again, yeah, I totally agree with you, but I do think it's that player. It comes down to the player in that situation, and right now Minnesota has the cap room to do it because they have a quarterback who's going to be on a rookie deal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. The only other thing too I worry about too is like if that wide receiver gets frustrated with that young quarterback because he's not throwing him the ball for whatever reason too, as we've seen receivers throw little fits here and there. We've seen that before.
Yeah,
so.
and Captain, I agree with it. I think that played in Justin Jefferson's favor because I think that was probably a part of his negotiation that said, look, I'll go somewhere else and good luck finding somebody else to give a security blanket and make J.J. McCarthy better. And so yeah, I think that played into the negotiations without question that where else are you going to go and where else is McCarthy going to throw the ball?
Mm-hmm. So say Christian Watson this year stays healthy, big thing, plays double-digit amount of games. Let's say he puts up amazing numbers, 1,200, 1,400 receiving yards, double-digit touchdowns. He's eligible for an extension after this year. You can't do it during the season. Would you give him an extension after this year if he put up numbers like that to maybe get him by a bargain a little bit, even though it'll be a little bit more? Or do you go into his contract year and see how he plays that out?
Given everything about Christian Watson, and I'm glad you used him as the example, because first of all, you got to look at what did the Packers give up to get Christian Watson in the draft, and they had to move up to get him. Of course, that was a trade with the Minnesota Vikings, and so they traded up, and so they gave up draft capital to move up to get Christian Watson. And there's no question when Christian Watson is healthy, he is a difference maker. And so now you're looking at, okay, this is what we gave up to get him. This is the explosiveness and the numbers. And again, the caveat is if he's healthy all year this year and puts up 1,200, 1,300 yards and more than likely double-digit touchdowns, if he's putting up that kind of yardage, then yeah, I do roll the dice on that contract extension and almost take what I'll call the Brewer approach. And then that's going to be, I'm going to try to sign someone on the cheap and try to catch lightning in a bottle. Whereas if I wait another year, his price tag might just go up. So yeah, and the caveat there again with Christian Watson, of course, is the health. And I think that's the biggest thing, that if he stays healthy, I love it, double-digit games, 1,200 yards, double-digit touchdowns, yeah, I would not mind at all making that move and getting that signing done a little bit earlier than you have to, because what you gave up for him and what he can do for your team on the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to be really interesting following him and Dobbs this year too, because I think Dobbs is like the perfect possession receiver, gets you big plays here or there. But would you say Dobbs is a difference maker?
You know what? Dobbs, in my opinion, really showed towards the end of last year, and especially in the playoffs, that he really is becoming a consistent go-to for Jordan Love, and almost that security blanket type of wide receiver. And so, you look at someone like him, and again, I'm going to go back to a player, Marvin Harrison, who he didn't wow you with any physical attribute, but he was so good at route running, and he was so good and so consistent for so many years. And I'm not saying Romeo Dobbs is headed that direction, but it's really interesting when you look at a guy that doesn't necessarily have one of those physical attributes that stands out, and what kind of receiver he becomes. And I'm a big Romeo Dobbs fan. And again, you always look at how did you end the year, not how you began the year. And Romeo Dobbs by far was truly clutch in the playoffs. And one more thing about the receiver position, Captain, because I just want to bring this up. I think it's interesting because the trades that you don't make for the wide receiver position, because the Packers, of course, were in on the Darren Teller, the tight end from the Raiders, and of course Chase Claypool. And look at where both of those players are, and look at what Green Bay would have had to give up to get them. And I always go back to Andre Rison because the Packers were in on him as a free agent as well, and then they go out and get him on the cheap for the Super Bowl run. And so I think wide receiver truly is that position where it's buyer beware, especially if you're looking to spend big money on a free agent or making a trade, because you just don't know how he's going to fit in to your situation. But I got to tell you, between the tight ends and the wide receivers on the Green Bay Packers, I love those rooms, man. They are just busting with talent, and it's going to be fun to watch Jordan Love in that offense this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hey, I want to go back to Jair Alexander last week. He talked a little bit with the media and such, and talked about how, with the new staff, he mentioned the strength and conditioning staff, but also the defensive staff, and just how it's a different feeling, it's a positive vibe, and all that. But my question is, how big of a year is this for Jair Alexander in terms of growth? And I'm not saying he's the next guy like this, but I use a Charles Woodson example here a little bit. When he first got to Green Bay, he didn't want to be there. Mike McCarthy threw him out of practice for being, not following the rules and being a distraction and such. And they had a come to me moment, and he ended up being a great leader. I think this is a moment for Jair Alexander to maybe take the next step into his career, into his future, to become that leader. But I think it starts this year. How big of a year do you think this is for Jair Alexander in a growth year or in a leadership capacity?
I think it's huge. And look, and he's talked a lot about how he and Xavier McKinney right now are playing off each other in the classroom, and how they're present and accounted for, and really taking on a leadership role on this young defense. And so I think it's a huge year for him. And yeah, I think that's a great connection point, or when you're comparing player to player, I think that's a great situation. Woodson was not happy to be in Green Bay, and really it was a roll of the dice at the time for Ted Thompson to go out to get a guy that didn't want to be there. And so yeah, I think Jair Alexander last year, and I think a lot of players were this, and I don't want to make Joe Barry the scapegoat for everything, but I don't think, just reading between the lines, that there was a lot of buy-in from the players on that side of the ball with that defense. And so now you have no Joe Barry. Now you have the coach that you want. Now you talk about the coach in the way that, he's going to allow us to play. He's going to allow us to play to our strengths. And so really the excuses no longer are there. And then the scapegoat is no longer there. And so Jair, this is a huge year for him. And you know what, real quick, Captain, you mentioned the strength and conditioning. And I think that's an area where you really need to look at this season, because you're already seeing some subtle changes that I think the new strength and conditioning staff is implemented. One of them being, which I think is really interesting now, is the previously the warm up, the stretching, that type of thing, that period. Everybody, it was one team. All right, so it was one team stretching and getting ready for practice. Now this new strength and conditioning staff has them broken off into position groups as a warm-up. And I think that's great. That's really smart. And you look at it because you're saying to yourself, all right, offensive linemen are going to need, they're going to need to work different areas and different muscles than a defensive back. So, yeah, I think you've got the new defense, the new strength and conditioning, and how it ties back into a guy like Jair Alexander. This is a chance for him to really prove himself and take that next step to become a true blue chip player in the NFL.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him that growth because what was it, a couple years ago he was named captain, and then the following year he wasn't, and you could tell it affect. I mean, that C patch means a lot to these guys, right? I mean, I know us fans and some fans kind of chuckle about it, like, okay, you're making a big deal about it, but that means a lot for those guys, and I think it's because it's the players that vote for those captains. It's the respect within that locker room, and I'm curious to see if he can maybe get back to what that was a couple years ago.
Yeah, no question. I mean, it's always you get that player who's ascending, and you give that player the contract, and then you hope he doesn't fall off the cliff at that point. And Jair Alexander, look, he's saying the right things, he's doing the right things so far, and we're talking June 4th. Everything is pointing in the right direction. And again, between he and Xavier McKinney, what they're showing from a leadership standpoint, they're taking the right steps right now in the offseason to hopefully benefit them during the season.
Before I let you go, Joseph, you had tweeted out about the who's protecting the blind side for Jordan Love here. I mean, Zach Tom's injury, I think, has kind of thrown everything in a little bit of a flux here to see how this lineup is going to work out here. But I mean, we've seen Morgan getting snaps at guard, at tackle, and such. How do you view the situation right now?
Well, reading, and again, this could be coach speak, but reading between the lines of what LaFleur said, he's really been impressed with how Rasheed Walker has responded to potential competition. And so, I think that's a great sign that this guy could be taking the next step. And I think it's a telling sign that Jordan Morgan is moving around now in, left tackle, right tackle. He played left guard. They're moving him all over, which just points back to, again, Green Bay wants their best five out there. And so, based on what LaFleur said, I think right now your left tackle is Rasheed Walker. Now, that being the case, again, we have a lot of football left and a lot of time left before the season. But hearing him talk so glowingly about Walker and then seeing them moving Morgan around tells me right now, if the season were to start tomorrow, Rasheed Walker is your left tackle. Jordan Morgan probably fits in somewhere else. And so, yeah, it's going to be a really interesting cap battle, but I thought he was one of the guys, that being Walker, that LaFleur singled out. And I thought that was interesting. And again, words speak louder than action. So you got the words from LaFleur, but then you got the action moving Jordan Morgan around. And I thought, okay, that's telling. That says that Walker might have taken this next step. And we'll see. Again, especially for an offensive lineman, you can see some things when these guys are in shorts, but you're going to learn a lot more once the games happen. So I think that's going to be an interesting competition. But like I said, LaFleur talking about Walker and Morgan moving around, that says something to me. It's going to be interesting to watch as this thing breaks down.
Absolutely. Joe, appreciate the time as always, man. Enjoy the rest of the week. And, hey, we'll catch up again next week. Okay, bud?
All right, Captain. One last thing I got to tell you. I was at Ray's last night, one of your sponsors of the show. And again, I got to tell you, the level of greatness of your sponsors is through the roof, man. So I loved Ray's last night. Great night. My wife and I stopped over there and had a drink, and it was just, again, the quality of your sponsors equals the quality of the show. It is blue chip all the way.
Appreciate that, man. Yeah, Dave and his entire staff, they do a fantastic job over there at Ray's place. So I saw that you had the hot beef and ham sandwich too. So that a boy.
Yeah.
Now
yeah,
you're inbred into the Eau Claire culture. So there you go.
See, it only took me almost a year, but now I am finally been baptized into the clear waters of Eau Claire.
I like it. All right, dude. Have a good week. We'll catch up soon. Okay.
All right, Captain. Take care, brother.
You got it. There you go. There's Joe DeGuano joining us here for a little bit this morning. let's take a quick break, and we'll finish up the second hour. Don't forget, what's grinding your gears? It's the ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears Tuesday. Text those puppies on over, all right? Quick break, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Coming up just past 8 o'clock, we're going to hear from Sammy, General Manager Sammy from the Eau Claire Express for our Eau Claire Express updates over there. We had the Mobile Man Cave over there last Friday for the game, and one of our sponsors, of course, is Toyson Ford, the Toyson family, with the Express there too. So big thanks if you're ever in the need of getting a new vehicle or checking out their high quality used automobiles over there. I don't know what I was trying to say, but if you're in the market for a new set of wheels over there, make sure you visit our good friends at Toyson Ford in Chippewa Falls. All right, but big thanks to the Express for Sports Talk nights this past Friday. Definitely be hitting up some more games when they're back at Carson Park here. So. But with a little over a weekend of the season now, be good to get Sammy's take on the team and how everything is looking so far. Hutsy had to get DQ. His DQ was a player, Dalen Quigley, from last year. He got his jersey from the pro shop on Friday. Early birthday gift for Hudson over there. So, but that's coming up just past 8 o'clock. We'll catch up with RJ Cardinal after that too. We'll talk a little college football, college sports, and such with RJ coming up about 8:30 this morning. So also we have the ASAP Used Auto Parts Grind My Gears. What is grinding your gears? Let us know. Get it off your chest. Hit us up with a text 715-830-1912 on that Shoe Doctors bullpen line, or hit us up with a quick text or with a message on the video streams, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, or Instagram. So we'll get to some of yours coming up just a little bit later on. Should also note too, UW Whitewater baseball. They're still in it for the D3 World Series. So they advanced to the championship series. UW Whitewater advancing to the championship series for Division 3. So congrats to Whitewater, WIAC representation over there. It's going to be a big day in terms of some prep baseball action too. Hopefully the weather cooperates for those games. We've got North in action. We've got Hudson, River Falls, Aliva Strum, Altoona, Medford, Rib Lake. So lots of good baseball action going to be going on. If you're able to get out there, go check out some of those games for sure. So, all right. Speaking of baseball, we were talking a little bit about the Brewers and Game 2 tonight for the Crew. We'll see if they can bounce back and pick up the win and even up the series and put themselves in a position to win the series tomorrow. But we were also talking about too, I know the trade deadline's coming up on the 30th, July 30th, that is. But with more injuries coming to this team, Robert Gasser now dealing with some elbow issues. No idea if how long he's going to be out. If he's going to be out, getting some opinions on it. He's got some tightness, some soreness in that left elbow. But whenever we talk about a pitcher and a sore elbow, I get nervous. I don't know about the rest of you, but I get really nervous. So factor that in or add that in with all the other injuries that this pitching staff has been getting. If I'm Matt Arnold, I'm at least maybe starting to make some calls, if I haven't already, about some available starting pitchers out on that trade market right now. I'm maybe calling the Mets. I'm maybe calling the White Sox or the Marlins or some teams out there because, man, I need to get some arms for that pitching staff over there. But is there a realistic starting pitcher that you think is out there that you would like to see the Brewers potentially maybe target? Realistic, okay? Obviously, it's not going to be Aaron Nola, who the Brewers will face tomorrow from the Phillies, or Garrett Cole. I mean, realistic options, okay? Try to think about that for a little bit and maybe hit me up with a text or a comment on the video stream out there. I threw out some names. I know they're not the sexiest of names out there, but I don't think the Brewers are going to make that big CC Sabathia type of splash. And even so, who is maybe that pitcher out there that's like that? I don't know if there is that pitcher that's out there. So, but I got to imagine. I know we're in the beginning of June, though. We're going to start to talk a little bit more about potential trade targets for the Brewers, and if there's going to be any rumors, or I'm sure there's going to be more of those blog posts and articles and maybe even podcasts out there saying, hey, this is going to be a perfect match for so-and-so. This will be a perfect match for the Brewers. Brewers should take a look at getting this player and that sort of stuff all the way up until July 30th. All right, just a couple more minutes to that top. So don't forget to, with the Express, subscribe to the All Aboard the Eau Claire Express podcast, available wherever you listen to your podcasts. That's either Spotify, that's Apple. It's available at our website too, sportstalk1051.com. So if you miss any portion of our talk about with the Express every Tuesday morning, you can catch up on them on the All Aboard the Eau Claire Express podcast. Really quick before the shot clock cuts me off here, Josh, what's grinding my gears is that the NBA Conference Finals was last Tuesday, and the NBA Finals do not start until Thursday. Why such a long break? It's because of networks. They scheduled the finals games before those series were over with. So it was already scheduled with the networks and such. That's why. I mean, they plan for conference finals to go to the max for game sevens. It is a long break. I agree with you, John. But it's network scheduling over there too. I agree though. I wish they would get going here. That long of a gap in between here too. It's kind of annoying. I wish they would be a little bit more flexible in that situation, but obviously they're not. So, all right. Shot clock's going to cut me off right now. So we'll talk some more baseball with the Express coming up. Then we'll get to RJ Cardinal after that. Don't forget, get your Grind My Gears in. Text it to us. Comment on the video stream. All that stuff. Quick break. We'll be back after these news updates. Final hour kicking off on this Tuesday morning. Big thanks for tuning in wherever, however you're tuning in, online, on the radio dials, video streams, all that good stuff. We're going to get back to some more Brewers talk. We've got RJ Cardinal coming up at the bottom of this hour too. So we'll talk a little Badgers, talk a little college with RJ. We kick off this hour, though, like we do every Tuesday during the summer, catching up with our good friends from the Eau Claire Express. General Manager Sammy joining us in studio. A little over a week now, already into the regular season.
Yeah.
How's things going so far?
Good.
Yeah?
It's been some crazy games at the ballpark.
Yeah, whether it's
Some
Friday nights, high-scoring affairs.
extra innings,
yeah.
hit by pitch.
Yeah, little rain here and there.
Yeah.
Got through the game, though.
Got through the game with no rain delays.
Nope.
Just a straight 4-hour game.
Yep. It was a really entertaining game, though.
It was funny. I'm standing over by the bullpen and, Bussin's up, and one of the guys in the bullpen goes, calling it now, hit by pitch. 2 pitches in, hit by pitch.
Man, what a nice call. It's really, if you have, nobody ever has a chance to, if you could sit by the bullpen and listen to those conversations that go on in the bullpen, it's pretty funny. Whether
I'm
they're
sure.
chirping at the opposing pitcher or how they're cheering on their batter, there's some really good conversations.
They have a good time out there.
Yeah, they do.
They're all on their own.
Yeah.
They're not heard by Vic Cable.
No, and it's like, because one of them was trying to talk with Hudson, and the other guy's like, you can't talk to the kid. It's like, why not? And they're just kind of going back and forth and all that, having fun with Hudson that way too. So, and then I saw some kids asking them like, well, how do you throw a slider? And they were showing them how to throw a
Oh, that's
slider and
fun.
all that too. So that was pretty cool to
That's cool.
see them interact with the kids like that.
Nice.
So, but yeah, definitely some interesting conversations going on over there.
That there is, yeah.
So with a little over a weekend, are we starting to see those personalities, do you think? I mean, they come on the scene right away and maybe kind of getting used to each other. A lot of these players don't know each other, maybe know of each other, but never really spent time with each other. But are we starting to see maybe some personalities coming through with some of these players, you think, a little bit here and there?
I think so. I've been on the deck at the end of the night, serving the home and the opposing team. And, and you can kind of, there's still, some of them are still a little shy when it comes to talking to the staff, but I'm sure that their personalities are showing on the field and on the bus. But, right now we've got Kale and Fitzenko and Bronson that are just three goofballs.
Yeah.
And so, Kale, the last couple of nights on the deck after eating, he's gotten 3 burgers and just smothering it in mac and cheese.
Really?
Yeah. That's been Kale's go-to meal. And then Bronson just does whatever he can just to get up on the deck as soon as possible to get the food before it's gone. So
that's awesome.
I don't know. I think they're all having fun. They're having a good time. They've picked last year the apparel of choice was that Badger blue hoodie. This year it is the Imperial rope hat. So I got a lot of them asking, are we getting more of these? I said, yes, don't worry.
Nice.
We're getting more. So
nice. Yeah, we checked out the pro shop Friday night. Hudson got DQ's jersey, as I was
saw that.
talking a little bit before on the air there. He was going through the rack, and then he put on the puppy eye face on there. And I'm like,
can't say no.
Yeah, and then he's like, oh, I gotta get another hat. So we got another hat on there too. So yeah, he well, and mom and dad each got something too. So
good.
Over there.
Glad you guys found something
too.
too.
He did know. He's like, we got to get a pennant when they come in. Though.
Yes.
So he was like, got to put it in the man cave.
Absolutely.
So I'm like, Sammy will let us know when
I
the
will
pennants
save
are
one
in.
off to the side. Don't worry, Hudson.
But I mean, you had a lot of kids there. You had the team of the night. You had, I know the Wissota Wake was featured that night too. I mean, you guys do a lot of stuff for youth baseball and the kids at the park.
We do. We've thanks to Culver's for keeping that sponsorship alive with youth team. 36 different teams coming out for every game, and it's just fun. Especially, with my husband coaching hockey, so many of them play baseball. So it's fun to see them. A couple of them were with the birthday party Friday night, and I'm going to do something on the field. And do you know Coach Nate? I know you. And so, they're like, is Coach Nate here? Is Coach Nate here? And so I bring them over, and they're just like, hey. And I text him afterwards. I'm like, you're cool enough to talk about, but you're not cool enough to talk to.
It's funny. It's funny you mentioned that, because when I was watching the game, I was kind of moseying around the fan deck and that. And I'm not lying, I could hear a couple people talking, and I think they were kids. because we were in the right field portion. I could hear a couple kids saying, "Is that Sammy on the field?" It wasn't you, but like, no, that's not Sammy. And somebody's like, "Yeah, that's Sammy." And they were just kind of arguing back and forth. So I don't know who they were,
It was,
but there were a couple kids
it
over
was
there.
one of Nate's had a couple friends on the deck, and it was their
Okay.
sons.
All right. So yeah, because I could hear them arguing back and forth whether that was Sammy over there or not. So, I mean, you're pretty famous now too.
yes, super famous.
Looking at some of the promote, you got Teacher Appreciation Night coming up on the 5th.
Yes.
And then
Teachers will get in for free with their ID.
perfect.
Teachers, principals, teachers' aides, anyone with a school ID that works at school.
Nice way to wrap up the school year, right?
Exactly. Last day of school is today, isn't it?
Kind of, because Hudson's got tomorrow, but it's Carnival Day.
Okay.
So they got an on-school carnival, but I know every school's kind of different now too.
Yep.
At this point, but nice day, perfect one, especially if they're working at that carnival where my kid's at. I'll be doing a football toss. Anybody's over there volunteering, but yeah, it's the perfect night to wrap up the school year, going to
Yeah.
a ball game at Carson Park. So,
Yeah.
and then Muster Night, Silver Springs on the 7th. That's always a big night.
That's a huge night. Yeah. This year, Silver Springs, we decided we wanted to do we're doing 2 Blackstones and 3 Yeti coolers as the giveaways. So if you buy your raffle ticket with the proceeds, it goes towards Feed My People. You'll be entered to win either the 2 Blackstones or a Blackstone or a Yeti cooler. So there's going to be
Nice.
separate colors that's going to dictate which one is for the Yeti and which one's for the Blackstone. So you could just put all your money on one, or you could put them in for both of them. But yeah, it's
a Yeti cooler.
and a Blackstone.
I put that on my Christmas or on my birthday wish list.
Well, now you have to come to the game.
I was
on
going to say I
Friday.
have to. That might be the only way I try to get one.
Yeah.
Is that way. I don't think Veronica is going to give me one over there. And I know you talked about this last year too, but with the night that's your night sponsored by Northern Wisconsin State Fair, and you talked about you growing up with state fairs and all that. Now that kind of has a special meaning for you too.
Yeah, it's fun. I love getting to partner with the fair and just kind of bring awareness to 4-H and FFA and just all the different opportunities that they bring kids just outside of sports. And just kind of get people excited for the fair because that's almost a month away.
I know, right?
It's going by so quickly. It's only
June
the
Dairy
4th
Month
of
now.
June.
Yeah, I know.
So yeah, so that'll be Sunday. And then after that, like that same game, after the game, fans can come down to Valley Burger and meet the players.
That's right. That's another
Yes.
new thing you guys got going on this year too. So
Yeah.
that's a lot of fun. Checking out, and I mean, especially for the kids.
Yep.
To be able to interact with the players.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so cool to watch them.
Absolutely.
See that. Like we were waiting in the dugout or the walkway for first pitch and seeing that Wissota Wake team just cheering every player, I think caught the players off guard too, because they were getting really loud. They're like, oh, okay, cool,
Yeah.
But they ate it up. So it was cool to see that
That's awesome.
over there. But you got a lot of games coming up at home this week.
Yeah.
So I mean, this is an advantage to take right now if you want to go check out an Express game. Off day today, much deserved off day coming back from
Yes.
Canada.
Yeah, it's a long trip.
Yeah, definitely. Rochester tomorrow at home,
Yeah.
then over at Rochester, but then 4 straight games at Carson Park
Yeah.
heading into the
And
weekend.
4 busy games too between, mustard night on Friday plus a food truck. Saturday we've got the pregame band. We have Lassos and Lace coming out, so the gates will open at 4:35. And then Sunday with the Northern Wisconsin State Fair, and then Valley Burger after that, and then Monday's Bark in the Park night.
Bark in the Park nights.
Yeah,
That's always popular over there.
it is.
Gonna have to bring our dog Cardo over
Absolutely.
for
The
Bark.
dog parade at 6:00.
See, Hudson loves dogs too.
I mean,
He loves dogs. He just got another book on dogs. He's one of those when Sarah McLachlan's commercial plays during Christmas, it affects him.
oh god.
And he will quote it to me and Veronica, like why we should adopt all these dogs
Oh,
for that. So we might have to go to Dog in the Park night on
absolutely.
that night. So, and then shortly after that, I know, we'll be in next Tuesday, but then it's the Wausau Woodchucks, one of those new teams that you guys got on the
Yeah,
schedule
I'm
coming up this
excited.
year.
I'm
Yep.
excited to get to play them.
Mhm.
And go check out their stadium at the end of the month when I
Mhm.
go. But yeah, it's fun, between playing Madison and the Big Sticks and now Wausau.
Yeah. Kind of with the Badlands Big Sticks on Saturday. Talk about a uniform highlight game. I mean, what they were wearing, they're all reds, and you guys
Yeah.
had your blues on. So that was it was different.
It's a color out.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But what was it? I mean, so you've gotten Madison and you've played Badlands, a couple new teams this year.
Mhm.
What was that kind of like? I mean, just, new, fresh, kind of unknown. I know
Yeah.
Friday, I saw Craig walking around. He said the owner for Badlands was actually came over to check out
Yeah.
the facility too. So that had to be pretty cool.
Yeah, there was it was either Friday or Saturday. It must have been it was one of the 2 days, but I'm over in the Whipley zone and I see a player walk over and he goes and talks to the Varsho boys and later on I go and ask them, I'm like, "Oh, what was that player talking to you about?" He goes, "He wanted to know how he could get his parents some tickets for next week." And one of them was like, "We don't even play you guys next week here." He's like, "No, I know. I just think it'd be a really cool place for my parents to come see."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really
So I was
cool.
like, "Well, that's really different, but
Yeah.
that's awesome."
That's really cool. So that they were just going to come over and check out a
Yeah.
game at Carson Park.
Yeah. Even though I think in 2 weeks we play them in Badlands.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought that was
That's a cool story. That's got to
Yeah.
make you feel good when you hear opposing players
Yeah.
say that about
Glad
your.
that they thought Carson Park was that cool. That
Mhm. Yeah. How's the Whiffley zone been going for the first week?
Awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, especially pregame, it's really busy over there. It's
Mhm.
kind of just a fun place to hang out and mingle. Some people will stay over there, watch the game. And then, we had the food truck on Friday night.
Mhm.
Saturday, we had Dylan Martinson before the game. And, that just kind of like a lot of people congregated over there and he was awesome. But yeah, it's been cool. It's
Mhm.
hopefully the weather can pick up a little bit
Yeah.
and it should attract some more people, but it's been fun. I think people are really enjoying just the low key
Yep.
of the area.
Exactly. And if anybody hasn't been there too, Hudson was really looking at the banners of your alum outside the stadium
yeah,
too.
2 of those are new. Well, they're
Yeah.
all new this year.
Mhm.
We got them remade, but yeah, we added Dylan Varsho and Griffin Jacks.
Mhm. Yeah, so he was looking at that and he was asking, and funny story is we went to the card shop on Saturday
Okay.
and he's going through the bin and he found a Dalton Varsho.
Oh, there you go.
And I explained it to him. I said, that manager who gave you knucks after the first pitch says, "Uncle." So he's like, "Well, can I get the card then?" So he got the card. So, but he was like looking at that and he's like, "Wow, they played for that." And then he was asking questions about Cole and all that. But they're really cool banners out there.
Thank
I mean, they're
you.
huge
Yeah.
and all that.
Those were all printed by Resonance Branding Co. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, they turned out great. They're very heavy.
Yeah.
They like to blow in the wind, but yeah, they turned out awesome.
It's so cool to highlight the alums that come through there.
Yeah.
And that's what's so cool going to these games, especially for the kids. A few years, they may be watching them on TV
Exactly.
or at a big league park over there. You never know how it's all going to turn out.
Yeah.
So, looking at some of the other stuff coming up here too, for you guys, I know we went through some of the games here, but then you got a road trip coming up at the end of the month here, where you mentioned you do go to the Badlands, and then it's Wilmer after that too. So,
Yep.
that's going to be a good road trip maybe for this team if
Yeah.
starting to kind of live life on the road
Should
together.
have some more guys here
Mhm.
as teams are getting eliminated from postseason.
Yeah.
Texas just lost on Sunday, so
Mhm.
I'm assuming that means Cole should be coming soon. Oregon State's they made it to the Super Regional, so we'll wait a little bit longer for Gustafson.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Some
they're gonna
nice-
leave that Friday or that Thursday and have a day of a travel, so that way because it's a long road trip over there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And you mentioned a couple names too. Those are a couple really good players. You guys are waiting to get back over here too.
Yep.
That should be a nice boost for the roster over
Yeah,
there.
excited to see some returners coming in the second half.
Yeah, definitely.
So
When you look at kind of where everything's at standings wise too, especially with your division here. I mean, yes,
Mhm.
Thunder Bay's up there, but after that, it's like everybody's neck and close in the early parts
yeah,
of this
it
division.
was funny. We kind of started off the season win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, and then we got 2 wins in a row, and
Mm-hmm.
then we got 2 losses in a row. So
But the Thunder Bay one, even though they're 7-1, you guys were in it.
yeah,
I mean, what, 2-1 last night?
2-1 last night, and then 5-4 Sunday night.
Mhm.
Yeah, they were both really close games.
Mm-hmm.
I watched most of Sunday nights. I did not watch last night. Sorry, Dale.
Dale's still sleeping, probably.
yeah, I hope he's still sleeping.
But I mean, that's what's going to be interesting here too with this. I mean, in the early goings, I know it's still early. It's going to be a tight race. For
Yeah,
that first
and it was a
place.
tight race last year. for the first half against Thunder Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And so it should be close because we play them how many more times? Just this half?
Mm-hmm.
2 more times? Yeah, 2 more times. So it should be good.
Yeah, absolutely. So, pro shop wise, I know when we were there too, a lot of new gear. Veronica got some new gear. What was it? This is my era or something like that. She loved that. Can you make that in a guys one over
Hey, I
there
saw
too?
a guy wearing it.
Did you?
I saw a guy wearing the
Veronica
crew
said I
neck.
couldn't have that.
I saw a guy wearing the
Well,
crew
I'm
neck.
gonna tell her.
Not like the long sleeve
Oh,
hooded
okay.
thing, but I saw a guy wearing the crew neck.
I did pick up a polo for myself.
Oh, very
so
nice. You're official staff now.
Can I?
Yeah.
Can I be like ambassador? Like
Yeah,
for free?
absolutely.
Can I put it in my Twitter bio?
Yeah.
I'm serious right now.
I am too.
Okay.
Yeah, the first official ambassador.
Can we get a graphic made?
Yeah, I think I can have the marketing team pull that up for you today.
Yes.
They should be in at 9. I'll talk to
Sammy,
him.
I'm holding you to it now,
Okay.
Sammy. I'm like Matthew McConaughey, the Minister of Culture for the University of Texas. That's the only comparison I'll ever have with Matthew McConaughey at that point over there.
All right.
Right? Exactly. Come on now. We can do this, right? We can do this. So, a couple more things before I let you go here. Ticket wise, for anybody, best way, again, I kind of want to revisit this every time just because
I appreciate that.
The easiest way to get tickets, or the best way to get tickets, is how?
Either giving us a call, 715-839-7788, or on the Eau Claire Express website and clicking buy tickets online. That will take you to the Northwoods League. I mean, we had an instance where thankfully they didn't end up buying them, but they were going to be charged $130 for 2 GA seats.
Wow.
So, yeah.
We know it's a hot ticket, but that's...
Seriously. Pay attention to those ticket prices. If they look odd, give us a call. But, I mean, the tickets are going to work, but the seats may not be available. They, you know, odds are they're taken on our end, but they're available on this third-party app. But we don't want to see you lose out on that much money.
Right, exactly. So, also too, with tickets and such, can anybody for like fan deck? Because I actually had a couple questions from listeners last week about this. Can anybody purchase fan deck tickets if they're available? Up there?
Anyone, as long as they're available. We offer a no beer ticket. That's $25, and then if you want the beer included, it's $35. So,
and that's still a heck of a deal either way.
Yep. I mean, kids are allowed on the deck. 5 and under get in free. So 6 to 20 or the $25. But yeah, it's family friendly. Everyone is invited.
All right, yeah, because I know we had a couple listeners ask, well, can regular people, regular people, it's for everybody.
Joe Schmoes.
Yeah, it's for everybody over there. You can purchase them over there too. So make sure if you haven't experienced fan deck, you should. Everybody should at least experience fan deck over there. It's really fun. It's a lot of fun.
Watch out for fall balls.
That's the thing right there too. That's where like Hudson was right there.
Yeah.
Like I was like, I wanted to stand to his right, and he kicked me away.
Oh, Dad, you're
and I'm like,
on my space.
But here's the thing, dude. If there's a foul ball, your glove work better be a lot better than what it is right now, just in case.
Yeah.
Because
those players are not.
They're not going to stop it for you.
They're going to duck and they're going to get out of the way just as fast.
Yeah, but it's so cool to see him. And I know I'm kind of bragging about my kid, but like he watched the whole game. He wanted to stay for the whole game. Watched the whole game. When the Express hit a home run, he's raising his arms and all that. Whereas a couple years ago, he's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But now he's so into it.
Yeah.
He's so into it right now.
It's fun.
It just to see that growth. I mean, we hung up DQ's jersey last night in his room. So
Very nice.
right next to his Don Hudson t-shirt.
Okay.
So, and shout out DQ. I know he saw that on Twitter
Yes, I saw that he retweeted that.
Yeah. So, but I think he's not playing anymore. Is he done playing? Or?
I don't know. I have a hard time keeping up with all the alums sometimes because there's so many of them and they're constantly changing. But hopefully he'll come visit.
Yeah, I think we should get him.
Absolutely. I'm sure his host family would love for him to come back for a visit.
Definitely. Before I let you go too here, I know you kind of talked a little bit about it off the air, but the interns and your staff, first weekend, you kind of mentioned too, with a lot of home games coming up here. Is this kind of like their big week to, to really fully ingrain into Northwoods League action?
Absolutely. Especially, with the different start times and the different gates opening and just making sure, with Friday is such a big game for us with Silver Springs. It just always ends up being one of our almost sellout nights. So it's fun. It's going to be fun to watch them, kind of just immerse themselves into the action and the atmosphere at Carson Park and just do it all over again every single day.
Absolutely. Well, a little over a week into the season now, it's going to go by fast, probably.
Absolutely.
So, Sammy, appreciate everything you guys do
Thank you.
over there. Thanks for stopping by again this morning. And, well, enjoy the off day.
Thank you.
I'll look forward to that graphic over there.
I'll send it over as soon as they're in.
Sounds good. Sammy, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
We're going to take a quick break, and we've got RJ Cardinal coming. Oh, not coming in, but he'll be giving us a call here in just a few minutes after these quick words.
Part of the Chippewa Valley off Highway 53 at the Melby Street exit.
What's on Tap, brought to you by Miller Lite, the original light beer. Rooting for the Brew Crew because we're from Milwaukee too. Tastes like Miller time. Bring the good vibes to the ballpark on July 26th for Brewers Yacht Rock Night, presented by Wintrust, Wisconsin's Bank. Grab a special ticket to take home a Brewers captain hat. Plus, enjoy the game against Miami. Get yours now at brewers.com/theme nights. Milwaukee Brewers baseball and Miller Lite.
Roger closed the door, hung up the keys, and gave his golden retriever a big hug. Then, popped a cold beer. See, Roger was celebrating a great day at work. He used his brain to find a great solution for a local business's marketing dilemma. Now, this local business supports the community and its employees, serves a need that makes lives better. And Roger had a hand in it all and can watch this business grow. Roger presented a marketing solution that was focused on his customer, not selling them stuff they don't need. Roger has a pretty neat job helping all kinds of companies, big and small, become better and more profitable. Now, if this sounds like you, do what Roger did. Go to MidwestFamilyEC.com and apply today. You might just be the next Roger or Susan or Dale that joins the sales and marketing team. Choose job satisfaction. Choose Midwest Family Eau Claire. Help yourself and other companies grow. Go to MidwestFamilyEC.com and apply today. Midwest Family Eau Claire is an equal opportunity employer.
Melissa Peterson here for Franz and Bank in Eau Claire. Do you want to maximize the interest on your deposits? There is no need to look any further. Earn a premium rate when you open a Real Results checking account with us. Treat your deposits right and take advantage of this fantastic offer. Stop by the Eau Claire office today or conveniently open an account online at franzandbank.com/realresults. Franz and Bank and Trust. Real people, real results. Member FDIC.
This is the absolute worst time of the year to be dealing with joint pain. You can't do the outdoor stuff you love to do. Hiking, jogging, biking, playing on the beach. Don't go through the summer missing out on life. Call QC Kinetics now and find out how they can use biologics from your own body to give new life to your achy joints, your knees, your hips, your back. QC's regenerative medicine protocols can restore and repair that damaged tissue with no surgery, no steroids, no drugs, no downtime. This is the future of medicine. Tens of thousands of QC Kinetics patients around the country are living their best life this year because they made the call. QC medical professionals are under the direction of Dr. Mitchell Scheinkup, who was an orthopedic surgeon who became a true pioneer in regenerative medicine. He knew there had to be a better way. Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation. Revolutionary treatments for joint pain are here. Call 715-443-4440. QC Kinetics, 715-443-4440. That's 715-443-4440.
He's smart, informed, entertaining, and he knows his sports. In other words, he's the kind of guy I'd like to settle down with in a small, cozy cabin in the woods. That is, if he was a woman with a case of cold ones. The Dan Kasper Show, weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
Big thanks again to Sammy from the Eau Claire Express and everybody at the Eau Claire Express for everything they do over there, and for last Friday night for Sports Talk Night. G-Man, we missed you, big guy. But if you missed any portion of that conversation, reminder, you can always catch it at our podcast, the All Aboard the Eau Claire Express podcast, available wherever you listen to your podcast, also up at our website, sportstalk1051.com. You know who also is a sponsor of Eau Claire Express Baseball? Our good friends at Hy-Vee. Hy-Vee over there, you got their party coming up on June 9th. June 9th, summer party coming over there. So if you got nothing going on this Sunday, make sure you stop by for their parking lot party that they're going to have going on. They're going to have some live music being played, and they're going to be getting the grills going over there too. It's their Hy-Vee Hello Summer Party, June 9th, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. County Fair animals, bounce house for the kids too. So put that on your calendar. It's coming up this Sunday. Also, speaking of our good friends from Hy-Vee, they've got that June Dairy Month 3-day sale going on right now until Wednesday. All right. So Jack's Pizzas, you want to load up the freezers, the deep freezers, because the kids are home on summer vacation, out of school. You need some meals. $1.99. Chocolate milk, 99 cents. My kid loves that over there too. So load up on the snacks and the meals for the kids this summer with our good friends from Hy-Vee. All right, let's bring him on in here. We've got Mr. RJ Cardinal from the Zone in Madison joining us. And RJ, I'm going to lead off with this. Saw this last week. What are your thoughts about the Badgers and the Gophers battle for the axe on Black Friday instead of Saturday this year?
I'm going to be in Madison anyway, so it doesn't really affect me. It's like for what it is, it puts you. I think it's the CBS game, if I'm not mistaken. So it puts you on national television. I mean, what's not to like about that? A national exposure game. Say what you will about it. That's not when the game's supposed to be. I've seen people all upset about that. But I mean, if you can get national exposure, I mean, that's what it's really all about anyway. Like when I point to like the MAC. Once the season gets rolling, they are on Wednesday through Saturday, and they get nationally televised games because they take up time slots that the larger conferences don't or won't want to take. And I mean, if you can get that, having the most played rivalry in Division I college football as a national game on a Friday, I'm absolutely okay with that.
What would you say to those, though, who are maybe, I don't know if worried is the right word, or kind of questioning how the student section is going to look because, Thanksgiving being the night before, and maybe a lot of the students are going to be out of town? Or would that be that much of a difference from a Friday to a Saturday?
Yeah, I'm not sure it'll be much of a difference from a Friday to a Saturday. If they're going home, chances are they're not coming back Friday. And usually you come back on that Saturday night or Sunday even. So, I don't think it'd be much of a change. It's really no different than Wisconsin basketball having home games over winter break. The student section isn't going to be what it is. And now this is just part of what the Big Ten does. They always used to finish their season before Thanksgiving anyway. And now that you have a championship game that's the 2 weeks later, they added a game over Thanksgiving weekend to stay in with how the rest of college football was doing it and staying relevant for a week before championship game week. So you just kind of have to roll with the punches there. It's been this way now for a couple of years, and sure, the student section wasn't full all those times, but a lot of them sell their tickets anyway to try to make money off of them. So hopefully you get some fans in there. It'll be interesting to see how, who, why, what, where they can sell their student vouchers to. So I'm not too sure. Or maybe it was decided that game's not part of the student vouchers this year. I don't know that. I haven't looked that deep into it. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But I think one way or another, the student section probably wouldn't be as full as we would expect it to anyway.
Yeah, so we don't have all the times for kickoff yet, right?
No, but apparently NBC, sources told the Action Network that Penn State and Oregon will both be NBC primetime games. So 6:00 starts in October and November. So there you go.
All right.
Possibly adding 2 more on there.
I like.
But so that gives us the first 3.
Okay.
We have the Friday night against Western Michigan at 8 p.m. Then I think South Dakota was 2:30. Then Alabama's the 11 o'clock, and then then you go all the way to the end, Black Friday game, and then possibly, as it appears, the Action Network was told 2 night games in October and November.
All right, interesting. Hey, college football college football Hall of Fame ballots came out, and we do have a Badger on there. Running back Monte Ball was listed as a finalist. When you think of Monte Ball's playing career, obviously we know a lot of great running backs to come through Wisconsin and such, but what was it about Monte Ball that stands out the most to you, or you remember the most?
His consistency. He wasn't one that he's one of those guys who earned his playing time. He was behind people and then became the back and had he had 77 touchdowns in his career. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And he had his whole campaign of the fall belonging to Ball. The one season had 33 rushing touchdowns, 6 receiving touchdowns. So almost 40 touchdowns in 1 year. That's pretty darn good. Just overall consistency to being where maybe if he would have gotten a couple more touches as a freshman, you're looking at a guy who possibly could have been pushing for a 6,000 yard career, which, if you're putting his numbers against some of the quote unquote Wisconsin greats, he's got to be up there with them. He's part of that backfield in 2010 that almost had 3 1,000 yard rushers. So, and he missed it by 4 yards. But it's one of those, definitely a guy who, I don't think he's in Wisconsin's Athletic Hall of Fame yet, but he will be. And I do think he's the kind of running back who does deserve to be in the College Football Hall of Fame.
RJ too, with how much I know how much you love preseason rankings. I mean that they're your number one thing. But when it comes to like class ranks for like recruiting classes, how much do you pay attention, or how much do you take away from those overall rankings? Because what I'm gonna ask you, it seems like the 2025 class, I know they picked up a couple more recruits over there, and I've seen where they've ranked as been as high as like 15, maybe even 17 over there. But it seems like that 2025 class is getting a lot of love right now from their latest commits.
I will say this, in terms of that, Wisconsin has had a history of having a highly ranked class early on in the recruiting process. And being the number 15th in the country is awesome, but you still have a lot of 5-star kids who aren't signed, and they will end up signing at the schools they always sign at. So Wisconsin, if they don't bring any higher star kids in, will get passed up once these high 4 and 5-star recruits start committing to schools. But yeah, I mean, it's to people who want to say Wisconsin's recruiting is on an uptick. You're still looking at a class that has a majority of 3 stars and some 4 stars. So that recruiting hasn't changed. The type of recruit, in terms of build and all that they're trying to put together here on the defensive side of the ball, especially when you look at these larger cornerbacks they're going after, and the safeties that can come down and be absolute monsters and also play linebacker. We're seeing a difference there. And then, I mean, they're still getting very highly rated running backs. Like you said, you just had 4-star O lineman.
From Arizona?
Yes, Logan Powell, who, for out of 3 of the 4 recruiting rankings, he's a 4-star, I think. So you're still getting O linemen who at least are going to be projected to be very good. Whether or not we now have a coach who can develop them, it seems that hasn't happened in the past few seasons here. So it'll be interesting to see what you have happen there. And then, the other one, a 4-star, depending on where you look at it, Rakeem Stroud. Depending on where you look too, he's a DB, or as Wisconsin has, or not Wisconsin, but as a lot of some places have said, he's a cornerback, and he's one of those bigger cornerbacks they're going after lately. So, looking at a different style of recruit they're going after, and I think some of it can be looked at as better recruiting, but because of the teams that are also in on some of these guys. But you also have to kind of look back through the history of some of the under-recruited and under-starred people Wisconsin did pick up along the way in their history of becoming a relevant name on the college football landscape. And they did a good job of finding the talent that nobody else did, much like the basketball team had been known to do. So, until they start ending in the top 15 and pulling in these higher 4-star and even more 5-star recruits, like they seem to have promised was going to start happening, I'm not too sure we've seen an uptick in recruiting for Wisconsin.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the corners, and that's why I wanted to touch on before I let you go here, because I was reading a little bit about Stroud there, and I was reading from John McNamara from Badger Blitz, and I thought this was an interesting note. It says Luke Fickell and his staff have landed 3 4-star cornerbacks since taking over at Wisconsin in 2023. And I know Luke Fickell's got a defensive background, but I feel like if Luke Fickell is really targeting a corner or that position, I mean, I get a little excited because there's one guy he had in Cincinnati that's pretty darn good right now, and that's Sauce Gardner, and that's a bigger corner too over there. I mean, it seems like Luke Fickell knows corners. I know it's just one, but that's a pretty darn good corner over there.
Oh, absolutely, and I mean that's the kind of guy they're looking for. The at least 6 foot who is able to uh, m- be in stride with those bigger wide receivers, being able to jump with those bigger wide receivers in a league, and not just. I mean, we've seen the NFL go towards it, but in college football, where the spread and air raid are becoming more and more prevalent, and not just a fad, and a defense that it'll be interesting to see if they ever go to a full 3-3-5. But yeah, they're definitely looking to be able to put a very diverse defensive backfield in there to complement, well, hopefully complement eventually a front six, front seven. Because right now, I mean, you're really at a lack when you're looking at that defensive line still. And it seems like hopefully this new D line coach will, put some enthusiasm into some guys. They seem to like him when they're on their recruiting trips. Just haven't said yes to him yet. But yeah, definitely these cornerbacks they're going after are hopefully. I mean, it'd be nice to say you find a Sauce Gardner again, but
Right.
hopefully they're the kind of guy at least that is the athletic kind of guy, plays both sides of the field, maybe can even stay in and defend the run. But it's a more uh, broadened cornerback rather than you're a cornerback kind of player. Like uh, they have a rover in there. I mean, I know that's usually a safety, but it seems like they're looking for guys who can play safety and or corner.
Because I gotta imagine, and, another one there too. Is it Jameer Scott, 2025 class? I think is a defense back corner on there too. But I mean,
Yep,
if Luke Fickle goes on these trips with these corners, he's got to bring up, hey, I coached Sauce Gardner in college, right? I mean, I would, if
oh,
I'm a corner, I would.
absolutely, and same with defensive coordinator. Why am I blanking on
Oh,
his name?
Tressel.
Yeah, thank you. Wow. I mean, that's one. It's like, hey, I schemed for Sauce Gardner. I got him. Well, honestly, he's the one who got himself drafted. But I mean, we made him a focal point, and he did great. And we can do that for you too. I mean, that's not something you just because you're not at Cincinnati anymore. You say, well, that's not us anymore.
Right.
And what it's like you said, he's the fifth DB recruit since they got here. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what that room is going to look like as things move forward because here at Wisconsin we haven't always had the larger defensive backs. It's been the hard hitters, the smart players, the guys who can put themselves in a position to be great football players. Now you're adding athleticism to that, and size to those attributes that Wisconsin has traditionally had. It'll be interesting to see what kind of play you get out of your defensive backfield as this defense maturates and moves forward.
Absolutely. RJ Cardinal, dude, as always, we appreciate your insight and your input, man. Enjoy the rest of the week here, and we'll catch up with you again soon. Okay, buddy?
Sounds good. We will talk to you later.
You got it. There you go. RJ Cardinal. Good stuff, breaking down some Badger football and recruits in there. So, all right, let's take a quick break and we'll wrap things up with a little picks and predicts and some cat tips, hat tips, all that good stuff. We'll be back in just a few minutes. now that we are in the month of June, maybe you've been a little bit more active and you've been doing some work around the home, or maybe you've been playing in some slow pitch softball games, volleyball games, weekend warrior type of stuff out there, doing some hiking and all that. But got some aches and pains. Got to get it checked out. Go visit our friends at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. You hear Dr. Crow every Friday morning with us. Just get started by visiting cvosm.com for more information and to schedule your appointments. Also, want to give a shout out to, as you heard Sammy from the Express a little bit earlier, if you go to Carson Park and you see those sweet banners outside of Carson Park, the player banners over there, shout out to our good friends from Resonance Branding Company, the official swag provider for the program. You can check out our swag cave to get your swag for the show or the podcast over there too. But hey, if you need any stuff printed up, shirts or tees or banners or anything like that, Resonance Branding Company, they're your go-to peeps over there. Eric, Matt, Ben, those guys, really awesome peeps to work with over there too. So let's do some picks and predicts, brought to you by the Elbow Room in Eau Claire, located right next to the Banbury Place here in Eau Claire. We've got more baseball games. We're going to do some WNBA games coming up here tonight too. So no NBA, no NHL games to go to pick yet. So let's go Kansas City at Cleveland. I want to go Cleveland. Cleveland's playing really well right now. I'll go Cleveland. Let's go with Minnesota at New York. Sorry, Twinnies. I'm going to go with the Yankees in this one. Baltimore at Toronto. Baltimore got the 7-2 victory yesterday. Corbin Burns on the mound for Baltimore. I'm going to go Baltimore. Let's go San Francisco at Arizona. Arizona got the 4-2 victory last night. I'll stay with Arizona for the win tonight. Let's go Atlanta at Boston. I'll go Atlanta. Max is on the mound there. And then we got Milwaukee taking on Philadelphia. Sanchez on the mound. Sounds like Kenny's going to get the opener, and then it's going to be Colin Ray after that. Boy, I think the Brewers need this one. I'll pick the Brewers. I'm not 100% confident in this one, but I'll go with the Brewers to pick up a win tonight. So WNBA, we got Washington at Connecticut. Give me Connecticut on this one. New York at Chicago. Give me the Liberty. Phoenix at Seattle. I'm going to go with Seattle in this one. So, all right, those are your picks and predicts. Again, brought to you by the Elbow. Don't forget too, if you want to fire up the grills this summer, go visit our good friends at Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. If you haven't tried their Bloody Mary brats yet, you are sorely missing out on some fantastic flavor. Got to go get some more yet over there, but fire up those grills. Maybe got some graduation parties. Maybe you're just doing some backyard barbecuing, tailgating for any baseball games or something like that. Load up the deep freezers with some high quality products from Mike's Star Market in Eau Claire. My hat tip for today, I'm going to go with a couple of them. First of all, hat tip to UW Whitewater, advancing to D3 College World Series. So hat tip, they picked up wins yesterday. They're still alive. Also, hat tips to all the baseball teams, prep baseball teams in action today. Big day, movement day today. Got potentially a couple games for some of these teams. North's in action, River Falls in action, Hudson's in action, Medford's in action, Altoona's in action, Oliva Strum's in action, Rib Lake's in action. Got a lot of them. So best of luck on your games today. Hat tips over there. And I know for State Golf, they're back out on the course right now for the final round. So also hat tip to all you golfers that are participating at the state tournament. So we'll see how everybody finishes and places after today. All right. How much time do we have left? So we got a couple minutes left. Reminder, Brewers, Phillies, Game 2 tonight. You can catch that at 105.1 FM and 790 AM. First pitch, 5:40. Coverage will begin around 5:05. And then tomorrow, an afternoon game, 3:05, will be first pitch. Then an off day for the Crew before they take on the Tigers for this weekend series. About a win tomorrow, and hopefully we're talking about a potential series win for the Brewers coming up tomorrow. That'd be sweet. Take the series against the Phillies. Got to get tonight's game, though, because it's going to be really – I mean, tonight's a tough pitching matchup, too, with Sanchez, but you got Aaron Nola on the mound tomorrow there, too, and Sanchez lefty on the mound tonight. We'll see if the Brewers can be able to attack that and see that. But hopefully, too, we'll find out some good news about Robert Gasser and that elbow. Hopefully, they get some good feedback. I got to imagine he's probably going to miss at least a start, bare minimum. Hopefully, that's the minimum, but – dang, every time it's elbow stuff and you're talking about a pitcher, how do you not get nervous and how do you not think about, worst case scenario and such? So hopefully we'll get some good news about Robert Gasser later on today. So tomorrow we'll do another business of sports. We'll hit that up. Take a look at a topic just past 8 o'clock and obviously talk some more baseball too with the Brewers back next night. Plus, Twins taking on for a lot of Twins fans, their main rival. Have a lot of bad history with them with the Yankees starting tonight too. So, DP and the Danettes, they're up next. Have yourself a fantastic rest of your day. Let's do it again tomorrow morning, all right? I'll meet you here just past 6 a.m. Talk to you then.